Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So as things continue to heat up at the middleweight division, Daniel Jacobs, he just recently said that he doesn't think Jermall Charlo will fight him. He said he pretty much tamed the lion. And he's talking about that little confrontation that they had out there in New York when he walked up on Jermall Charlo. Right when Jermall was saying to the media, I'm out here in New York. Where is Danny Jacobs? All of a sudden, Danny Jacobs, he pops up like a damn genie, and he asked Jermall Charlo directly. He says, I'm just trying to figure out, what are we doing? Basically, Danny was saying, do you want to set up a fight? What are we doing? Are we just talking? Are we just going back and forth on Twitter? I'm trying to see, are we trying to make a fight? This is pretty much what Danny Jacobs was saying to Jermall Charlo. So ever since that confrontation, Danny Jacobs, he now believes that Jermall Charlo doesn't want to fight him. So now that I got you guys caught up, this is what Danny Jacobs had to say recently about a possible fight with Jermall Charlo. I don't think he would take the fight because you've got to understand, the proof is in the pudding. He called me out, or he said a couple things about me. And then once I retaliated, you heard no more. When's the last time you heard Jermall Charlo say something about Danny Jacobs? Whereas before, I tamed the lion. There was a whole bunch of bark in the jungle. Now the jungle is deserted with nothing but birds, nothing but giraffes, and mermaids. And mermaids don't even live in the jungle. End quote. Damn. And for those of you guys who don't know, the Charlo brothers, they call themselves Lions. It's hashtag Lions only. And Danny Jacobs just said in so many words, they done went from lions to birds and mermaids. So clearly this tells me that Danny Jacobs, he definitely wants this fight more than Jermall Charlo wants to fight right now. Now, me personally, I believe that they will fight against each other. I mean, obviously right now, Danny Jacobs, he has to get past Sergey Derevyanchenko, and I believe right now, Danny Jacobs, he's the most accomplished middleweight in the division right now. You could say that he has the best resume in the middleweight division right now. This will be his fourth undefeated opponent that Danny Jacobs will face when it comes to Sergey Derevyanchenko. No one has that many undefeated fighters at that level, because it's one thing to be undefeated, but it's another thing to be an accomplished undefeated fighter. And somebody like Sergey Derevyanchenko is so dangerous that Gennady Golovkin gave up one of his belts to avoid facing Derevyanchenko, when Golovkin's original goal was to unify all of the belts and become the unified champion at the middleweight division. And fighters like Sergey Derevyanchenko and Jermall Charlo made Gennady Golovkin change all of those plans. Now he just wants to stay active and fight anyone, as his trainer put it, Abel Sanchez. And that's why we got Golovkin versus Vanes Martirosyan instead of Golovkin versus Derevyanchenko or Jermall Charlo. But I do believe that once Danny Jacobs gets past, if he gets past, because there's no guarantee he's going to beat Derevyanchenko, that's a 50-50 fight. This is a very dangerous fight. I would not be surprised if Sergey even pulls off the upset. This is a very dangerous fight for Danny Jacobs, and once again, this is the reason why Danny is the most accomplished and the #1 middleweight in the division right now, because he takes on the most dangerous opponents out there. I mean, in this Sergey Derevyanchenko situation, it's kind of like Golovkin was the little brother, and his big brother was Danny Jacobs. And Golovkin, he was getting chased home every day from school by this bully, Derevyanchenko. Golovkin, he would run into the house, and Derevyanchenko, he would stand out the front door. He would stand outside of the front door, and he would like, come on out so I could beat your ass, right? And his big brother, Golovkin's big brother, Danny Jacobs, like, man, you need to stand up to that bully. You need to go out there and fight him. And Golovkin still refuses to do it. So Danny Jacobs says, all right, man, let me go on out here and defend my little brother, because I ain't about to let nobody bully my little brother. So let me go out the door and fight this man, Derevyanchenko. And that is exactly what took place. So with all that being said, I truly believe that if Danny Jacobs does get past Derevyanchenko, you still have Charlo trying to get the Canelo fight. If Charlo can't get the Canelo fight, which it would make sense that he would get it, he deserves the fight because he's Canelo's mandatory. But if for whatever reason, if the WBC protects Canelo Alvarez and he can't get that fight, there's a very good chance eventually we will get the Jacobs versus Charlo fight. I believe we will get it close to the end of 2019 once again if Charlo can't get Golovkin or Canelo Alvarez in the ring. You guys have to remember when people were accusing Jermall Charlo of ducking and avoiding J-Rock Julian Williams. Not only did he take the fight, but he knocked out J-Rock Williams, and it was one of his most impressive. Matter of fact, it was his most impressive win in his career. But once again, you know, this is a modern day Black Murderer's Row today. And for those of you guys who don't know what the Black Murderer's Row is, it's not something that I just made up. If you Google the Black Murderer's Row, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But today we have a modern day Black Murderer's Row, and fighters like Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, those are the big names in that division. And these are, according to ESPN, when it comes to at least Gennady Golovkin, he's looked at as top 25, one of the greatest fighters in the last 25 years. So of course, that's going to be the main guy you're going to want to go after. Someone who has a title like that, even though it doesn't mean anything when ESPN says it. But if anyone perceives Gennady Golovkin that way, of course that's going to put a bigger target on his back. So when it comes to fighters like Golovkin, when it comes to fighters like Canelo Alvarez, you can't, as a fan or even as a media member, you can't preach that these fighters are the best, etc., but then make excuses why you don't want tough competition to go up against them. You contradict yourself. Because if you don't want to see Canelo and Gennady Golovkin fight the best, then that means you deep down don't believe that they are the best. And this brings us back to the Black Murderer's Row. This is exactly what happened. You had a lot of these dangerous black fighters that were avoided by the bigger names. They kept calling them out. The big names would not fight them. So what happened was the black fighters that were avoided, they had to end up fighting each other. And then they had to keep fighting each other over and over again because the bigger names were afraid to get in a ring with them because it was too much of a risk, because these black fighters were too dangerous. So that's what's happening right now. So once again, I believe that it's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. Just like we got Charlo versus J-Rock, I believe we're going to get Danny Jacobs versus Charlo as well. So let's see what happens in the near future. Let's see if Danny Jacobs can beat Sergey Derevyachenko. That will be a great fight. I'm going to go live during that fight and do some blow-by-blow commentary, so you guys can tune in, hang out with me. And after that, matter of fact, the following day, Sunday, I'll also do the show, the radio show, so you guys can call in and give us your thoughts. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.